So guys, we're back at it again with another offline video. Of course, in the wake of the whole controversy with Def Noodles, there's some people that are bringing up my past on TikTok from like over a year or two ago, even though I have talked about it in detail, and I believe even with Def in my first conversation, they're still bringing it up. That's most of the things that are being brought up. I've talked to Def Noodles about. Dennis, we'll call him Dennis. Talked to Dennis about in our first conversation. Either he forgot or he just doesn't care, and it's really just a kind of a disinformation campaign or a misinformation campaign or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. But I wanted to respond to it, and the biggest reason is two things. The biggest one is because a YouTuber friend of mine reached out and they were upset by this take, and I understand. I do understand it. This is actually very out of context, and I'll explain it when we go through the video. But I can still understand. For them, the wound is like fresh because they're just seeing it now. For me, I've talked about this countless times, and so this is a history to me. But if you're just seeing it, it's very new to you, especially since when we're in the real world and we're recalling a past incident where we did something wrong, we usually show like a genuineness and like a genuineness, a growth, a reflection of what we did wrong, and the tonage of your voice is very there. But you're seeing a take in real time. You know what I mean? Like this take is like 2 years old, but you're seeing it now, right? Is it 2 years old? Oh, it's a year. It's a year and 3 months old, actually. Wow. A year and 2 months and like 29 days. Crazy. Anyway. You're seeing me then, right? Anyway. So I wanted, part of it is for that person as well, for them to see it. Maybe this will give a little, I don't want to talk to them now on the phone or anything, because it's still very fresh, and it's like sometimes people need to sit. Sometimes people need to be upset. I know that I do. Everybody does. Give them that opportunity. But also, this comes from Steven. This is Def Noodles' friend on the podcast. And ever since we had that conversation, the next day they were still like doubling down. This guy made a weird comment about how I was weaponizing white tears. Like with Dennis. I don't even know what to tell you. Race is definitely not in my mind then. I think Dennis is from Brazil, but he looks very white. I would have never guessed. But I think that there's also, from what I understand, there's still like different races and like different skin colors and ethnicities or whatever in Brazil. Something I've learned somewhat recently. Crazy how things work. You're always learning. But I thought that was very interesting. It's interesting that that's the framing on that situation. I don't want to go to the specifics because frankly I never wanted to talk about it in the first place. I did my best to actually speak about that situation where I got upset in a very roundabout way. Even in the conversation with Def, when I got upset, I was very roundabout about the specifics because I didn't want to talk about the specifics. But if you notice, in the second conversation that I had with Def, if you listen to I say it multiple times roundabout until the individual who this trauma we're in reference to was in the chat and said just say it, and was very explicit about what I should have said. So that's one of those things. Don't want to get too much into that. Whatever. Thought that was a very interesting moment, that they're still talking about it, they're still upset about it, and whatnot. But anyway, we got this, and I want to talk about this because I want to talk about it a little bit. I have a new, every single time there's a bit of a, view spike, and then there's a new audience, and it's always nice to have these conversations. But I think a lot of you guys already kind of know me and know that I don't, I mean as well as I possibly can. We're all people. We all change. The unfortunate nature of being a content creator is all your shameful moments are immortalized forever. Anyway, there's also a little bit of a thread here that I want to reference as well. But let's reference this video first. I want to talk about this. This is Aunt Karen. Now, here's the thing. A lot of content creators I'm not a big fan of from the platform, but I will say that there was very good reasons for people to not like me, so I am trying not to like hold a grudge, even though I do think that this was kind of an ingenuine video they made because they definitely cut me out of context. But let's watch this video. This is what Steven has put up on his thing.
Private, don't say it.
Wait, let me restart. How do I get it from the start? How do I hate YouTube short. Dude, okay, give me... How does this work? Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. Sorry.
Need to say the N-word, just say it in private. Don't say it to anybody in a derogatory sense. If, I guess, you get the pass from a friend, just...
Are you kidding me?
So now my full video is like a minute long, just for context, but let's keep going.
You know what? I shouldn't be surprised because you're still the same guy that said if she bleeds, she can breed, so
well, just so you guys know, if you want to, I have a video I release about that. It's right here. The joke that ended my TikTok career. What a flashy title. You could read that. It's there. Very out of context joke. People like to bring it up every time they like to go after me. So
Guess I'm not really that shocked, but let me give some advice to my white allies. Do not say the N word. Do not let someone trick you into thinking you can say the N word, because obviously what he said is trash.
So I never said you should use it. In fact, let me provide the context. So what Aunt Karen did here was I had a mutual follower of mine, and it was some like white girl. I do follow backs on Twitch. I think that's why we followed each other, because if you have enough channel points on my Twitch, I'll follow your TikTok. So she saw that I followed this person mutually, so they went there, and this person had a very ignorant take about how the N-word is just a word. Right? And then Karen's like, "What? Papa Gut, you condone this?" And I said no. And this is my I shouldn't have never responded. I should have known it was obvious bait to think that context. What I said is, first of all, this is the most important thing. In that video, I wish I wasn't banned on TikTok because you could just see it then, but the first thing I said was white people shouldn't be having conversations about who should and shouldn't use the N-word, all right? In general. That was my first thing I said, all right? It's none of our business, right? Second thing I said is you shouldn't use the word at all if you're white. And I'm specifically referencing the A. I feel like the hard R is a no-brainer. Nobody should use it at all. Not even black people. Nobody should be using that, right? But then I say is that if you're going to say it in private. Don't say it in public, right? Now, you shouldn't say it at all. As a white person, of course. But my take is pragmatic, like just don't say it in public. I can't really, we can't police what you're thinking or what you're doing in your home time. If you're listening to a song with it in, I don't know, like it's none of my business. Just don't say it in public. And then I mentioned the N-word pass, which is really, I'm referring to like white people who grow up in like a black area and it's okay for them to say it socially. I wouldn't say it. I don't say it. But that's my take. You might be like, okay, that's it. It's a very pragmatic take. That was what I had said. It's cut up out of context. I don't really know what else to say to reference that. I can understand why maybe Aunt Karen doesn't like me, though, because, again, I had some very dumb fuck takes. Like I said, I got to a point where it's like embarrassing, but I said some things that attention for views. It's one of my failures. I just don't know what else to say. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. So I can't even really be mad that she dislikes me or is trying to take me out of context. And I really can't be that mad that Steven watched that either and got pissed off at me, because you know what? I understand. But this was a little bit of a disingenuous reflection of my take by cutting a lot of it out. But yeah, we get to talk about that. Anyway, there's a little bit of a thread from somebody on here. Let's refresh in case there's more. And, hey, listen, we get to talk about it. Let's have some fun. So I understand that. Whoa, relax. Let's talk about this one first. This is the first one in there. So they say, I understand he has autism, but let's listen to the take.
I understand that he has autism, but that's not an excuse for behavior like this whatsoever.
So first of all, the behavior. So actually, first of all, this is Josh. He's a TikToker. He's recently, he's very quickly apologized for it. In fact, somewhat recently, evidence is coming out that Josh has been manipulated by individuals behind the scenes to do shit. The reality is there's a huge problem with people with intellectual disabilities, especially people with autism, or really just in general, I guess, being manipulated by people online and getting trolled. And I think that's what happened to Josh. But what happened is when I say this, I want you to understand, he took a fish out of the water, threw it on the ground, and violently stomped on it. It was a little bit scary. It was a little scary. And I made a video about it. I actually made an actual whole video here about it. It's called Josh versus Fish. He really stomps the fuck out of that fish, bro. It's possible that he really stomps that thing. He takes it and he's laughing too. I was like, holy fuck. I'm seeing if I can get to the point where he started stomping on it. I don't think I show it maybe because it was terrible. It was crazy. Either way, you can see the full context there. So that's what that video is about. I want you to understand something. Just because it's a very this looks like the framing here is, I understand his autism, but the framing from this person here is that I guess if you have an intellectual disability, you should be able to get away with anything. I feel like that's ableist. Right, I understand. I understand very well that people with autism, depending on the different, I want to say functionality. I want to say necessary support, but I guess for lack of a better term, functionality, will have different interactions with the world, right? And so I understand that somebody that has autism definitely needs to be given more of a break in some cases than somebody without autism, depending on how much support that they may need, right? But that doesn't mean that it's consequence free, right? So you know that, right? It's not an excuse. You can't stab somebody I got autism. I got autism. Like you put your hands up. Like it doesn't really work like that, right? And the video went pretty easy on the guy too. So I'm just saying. But this is a guy who doesn't like me very much at all. Frankly, I don't like this guy, the guy that's about to speak here.
Autism, but that's not an excuse for behavior like this whatsoever.
And it's not. He took a fish out of the ground, stomped the fuck out of it, and he was laughing. It's not. Again, he apologized. This guy's interesting. Not a particular fan of this guy. He was pissed off at me. I remember this first take on me is, this was years ago, and there was somebody talking about how conservative was upset because progressives or like young kids in school weren't standing for the flag. And my take was, this is the take. My take is that there are two groups of people in the United States. Generally, there's a group of people that the United States works for, and there's a group of that the United States doesn't work for. Right? The system works for some people and doesn't work for other people. And I said, I'm somebody that the system has worked for. So I love this country very much, and I will stand for the flag and respect it. But there are people who this country doesn't work for, and they don't stand for the flag. And if you want them to respect the flag, then you need to make a country that is worth them respecting. Very simple take. And he was like, oh, he was shitting his pants because apparently that's what a terrible take. He was just upset. I do genuinely believe that. I don't know what, but this guy just is this guy has no reason to dislike me, unlike some of the other people. He is just, I guess he's just upset that I would say things that weren't super controversial. But okay.
Imagine looking in the mirror and being like, yep, this is the content I make. Hey, you're on TikTok. What kind of content do you make? Oh, I kind of keep up with what all the 18-year-olds on the app are doing and sort of put out chastising messages to them if they do something wrong.
That is true.
I'm really a truth teller.
Although I think I've shifted a bit more towards like social political stuff. I got a little bit away from that kind of drama stuff. I still do talk about some of it's fun. You know, like Rich Lux, Dustin Daly. Woo! Give me the tea, girl. But yeah, I gravitated a lot away from the TikTok stuff. I do look back and some of that shit's cringe. Like some of the stuff like I talked about with like Polo Boy and stuff was very cringe from my perspective. So this actually is a reasonable criticism, I will say. Then again, what he does on TikTok is also incredibly cringe from last I remember. I think that, to be honest with you, for the most part, adults on TikTok is probably just going to be baseline fucking cringe anyway. But he actually has a good point
man,
here.
Sounds good.
It's really bad. I understand that he has autism, but that's not an excuse.
Oh, I guess this is okay. So yeah, whatever. This is the video.
At the end of the day, I really don't care.
Okay, this is the video we saw before. At the end of the day, I don't really care if you're a white person and you need to say the N-word, just say it private. Don't say it in a derogatory way. Self-coverage. Yeah, that's pretty reflective of what I said, I guess. It could have been said nicer, but...
If you're a white person and you feel the need to say the N-word, just say it in private. Don't say it to anybody in a derogatory sense. If, I guess, you get the pass from a friend, just...
It's really not that bad. I mean, I could have said it better, but I'm just trying to say don't say it in public. You shouldn't say it in private either, but I want, even out of context. This is the Old Enough to Bleed, Old Enough to Breed. Nathan and I have some past as well. Again, I'm not a particular fan, but I should come from the perspective where I wasn't great back then. First, at least part of my content. Most of it was good, but there was a rough period, and I can't be too upset. But this is the Old Enough to Bleed, Old Enough to Read shit. Like, I already talked about that. You can go look it up in this video here. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He does, he obviously takes it out of context very intentionally. Maybe he just didn't hear it at the end. I don't know. Either way, let's move on from that one. Here we got this one here. If you don't want, I talk about this one. This one's actually probably the worst one. This one's embarrassing. I'm only gonna watch the part that I say, because
if you don't want white people using the word, then everybody should stop using the word.
Listen, that is probably I think that's probably the most racist take that I've had on TikTok. Here's the thing. There's no defending that take, and I do talk about it. The biggest problem with that take is that I'm telling black people, if you don't want white people to use a word that historically white people created and used to diminish you, you should stop using it first. Literally I think that might actually be the most embarrassing take that I've ever had. There's nothing that he can say that will be wrong. I cringe even watching myself. I've watched this video. Personally, I'm too embarrassed to watch it again. It's just a really bad take. That was in the like, oh, what can I say that's like controversial? but then like also almost like dog whistly. It's like when you listen to that, different people interpret it differently. Some people will be like, yeah, you know what, I don't think anybody should use the word, which I think is a fair take if you don't think anybody should use it, but that's what they're going to hear. Some people, more conservatively people, see, he's just saying nobody should use it. But then other people are obviously going to interpret it as like, why are you putting the responsibility on black people to not use a word that was created to oppress them? It's a pretty dumb fuck take. But explaining the horrible dumb fuck take, you know, I just want to know, I know why it's so bad and why it's so dumb. It's pretty bad. I have talked about this one. I think I talked about this one with Dennis in our first conversation. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I bring it up too. I think this is the one, like, and people don't usually know about this one, but I usually bring it up. I'm like, you guys are talking about, like, they'll bring up this take, and I'll be like, yeah, but this one's, I'll be like, yeah, but I have actually one that's worse. Like, I always bring it up because I'm like, dude, like, yeah, like, shit's changed. Like, this was a fucking horrible take that I had. And then we got this video here. This one is just stupid from this person, by the way. Just listen.
The first is that he's still funny. If you think that unintelligently calling a black person the N-word is funny...
How do you intelligently call somebody the N-word?
So, this one is probably, like, the worst. Not for me, because, like, people were just being... like my own followers were like, Gypsy Crusader, which is, like, a really racist guy. He's like, he's still funny. And I was like, he's not funny. Calling people the, like, N-word isn't funny. When I say calling them unintelligently calling them the N-word, I'm not saying that there's an intelligent way to say the N-word. I'm saying that it's unintelligent to be fucking racist. I think that's pretty clear. This one is pretty intentionally stupid. Like, not for nothing. And I understand why the person in the video, again, this was on my Sussy arc, so I can see why they misinterpreted it. But like, I mean, if you're in your right fucking mind, you would look at that and go like, yeah, that one's like, you guys are, that this one is like fucking pearl clutching. Like, give me a break on this one. Like, go fuck yourself on that. Specifically to this person. At this point, you're just desperate to try to find as much stuff as you can to take out of context. Of course, the other ones weren't great, but I mean, this one wasn't really bad. But the other ones weren't great. But like, Jesus Christ, I mean, this one was very clear. Like, I'm speaking against my audience, which was more conservative leaning, against a fucking racist that some conservatives or some edgy young kids think is so funny because he calls black people racist stuff. Tee, right? So it's interesting that I'm like being chastised for like a progressive take. So yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about that. Personally, I don't know what this stuff is. I don't even know how Twitter works, bro. I'm a fucking boomer. Personally, you know, I do every once in a while enjoy talking about these things. It would be nice if they were in like, you know, it would be nice if people were not using my past to try to take me down, but instead were actually, like, if people were genuinely like, what the fuck is this Papa Gut? Like my YouTube friend that reached out to me, that's totally fair. But people, like, for the most part, this is just like, let's find as much as we can off the Papa Gut hashtag on TikTok and be like, look, see, Papa Gut did a bit. Yes, I know I did a bit. I'm the one who fucking talks about it, bro. I'm the one talking about it. I don't understand. Bro, you know I got a comment on this video? You know I got a comment on this video? I don't even blame the guy. He said, Papa Gut, I love you, but I'm tired of hearing this shit. You talk about this shit all the fucking time. I'm tired of opening up a video and listening to you talk about how your fucking TikTok career ended. So shut the fuck up. He didn't say all that, but he's basically saying that, and I can't blame him. But like, just so you know, like me talking about it continuously, that's not for you. It's for like new people that come into the content, so they have a little bit more context around what I'm saying. So yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's do something else too. Let's see if I can. I think I'm saying this right. Here it is. Okay. I'm gonna try to remember to link this in the video. This is actually a TikTok I put up for. This is like March. This was in March of 2021. This is when I started to kind of get my shit together. Because I realized I fucked up, and then I was shortly banned after. Maybe 2 or 3 months later, I don't know. This was like an apology to like, you know, the black community on TikTok. It was a genuine apology, but they actually want to apologize for part of the apology, and this is what it was. I'm not gonna, you know, this is something that took me a while to realize, and this is the biggest reason that people had a problem with this. But I want to talk about it because like this is like an opportunity to talk about it, and it's that I made this apology and I truly meant it, but I took the apology down like 2 or 3 days later because the reason was I felt like I had said what I had to say. And I wanted to move on. And some people listening were like, yeah, that makes sense, Papa God. But that's the problem is like the apology is not supposed to be for me. But I made the apology about me by removing it because I was ready to move on. Rather than like leaving it up because I did a wrong thing and I should leave it up because of that. Right? And it's something that, like, that took me, dude, like, yeah, I don't think some people don't understand. Like, I really think about, like, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? And I really try to think about this stuff. I think back to this, and it kind of clicked for me a while ago. And I was like, wow, that's why people were pissed. And I know it's so stupid, because some people are like, yeah, Papa God, obviously, you fucking moron. But for me, it's like, shit. It took me a while to be like, yeah, that's the problem. It's like, yeah, the apology was genuine, but, like, I took it down in 2 or 3 days. So, like, what does it really mean then? And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, very clearly, and I hate to admit it, but like I centralized myself around the apology. You know what I mean? Rather than the apology being for other people, I made it for myself. You know? Which isn't right. I still agree about the apology. That's why I want to signal boost it. You know, and this comes from Anthony Highland. His name's actually iSpeak on TikTok, 1906. And what's interesting about iSpeak is, you know, we haven't always seen eye to eye, I'll tell you that much. But we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I will say he's a pretty solid guy. We actually teamed up to help deplatform somebody named Joe Robe after the whole thing where I was deplatformed. We reached out to each other. I think he might have reached out to me. I don't remember because like the people reached out to us that were like, you know, that had their story to tell. And, like, you know, we worked together and we were, like, talking to each other and, like, there was a mutual respect there. So I can respect that we could put our differences aside. You can look into Joe Rogan, real scum piece of fucking garbage if you'd like to. Specifically with the allegations against him were pretty gross. So, yeah, I mean, I guess go follow iSpeak, too. He's a pretty solid. I mean, I haven't checked anybody's TikTok in a long time. Oh, these fucking things get... Sorry. Okay. Hey, sorry, the fucking Captcha, whatever the fuck it's called. So, yeah. I guess it was fun recounting the past. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.